Today on Inspirational People, Inspirational Stories, I'm honoured to be joined by David O'Connor. David is the Managing Director of Louis Copeland Sons, both in Pembroke Street, Dublin, also in Galway as well. Now, David has been working for Louis Copeland for over almost 25 years, working his way up from salesman to general manager to managing director of both locations. And I have to say, I always talk a lot about, in terms of my radio shows, about how you put yourself in the energy of something, you can bring more of it to you as well. And looking back, my grandfather, who actually died when my dad was only 2, he was actually a master tailor in Dublin, where he ran Gordon and Brothers and actually worked in partnership with Louis Copeland back in the 1940s. So everything has come right the way around to something that really touches my heart, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here with David. David, welcome to the show.
Doug, thank you very much for having me, and great to have you in the Pembroke Street store here.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, and you know what, I'm so grateful because you reached out to me after I was interviewing Pascal Donoghue, who obviously is the finance minister, and we met for lunch, became instant friends, and now we're collaborating together as well, which is absolutely fantastic because this, I have to say, when you walk in here, there's a feeling of luxury, style and presence, which I absolutely love about the place, which I'm sure you have a little bit to do with. Tell us a bit about your journey from starting off that 25 years ago, coming through the challenges of the highs and lows to become the managing director of both here and over in Galway.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. I started in the business when I was 19. At the time, I was studying business in college, and I went in to sell Louis Copeland, labels for his bags. And after speaking to him briefly, he said to me that he might buy the labels for the bags, but he was very keen on getting me into the company. He offered me a job on the spot. So then I joined the company then when I was 19. And I immediately really enjoyed it because, you see, Doug, my hobby, if you like, is clothing. I've always been into clothes and fashion. And then I was in an environment, let's say, that I could use my skill set and that, you know, my passion was all in the same place. So I took to it very quickly. So yeah, no, it was exciting. And then I was a sales guy in the Wicklow Street store for about 12 years. I really enjoyed that, built up a great customer base, met great people. And then I was made manager of that store. Then very quickly after that, the general manager over all the stores. And then recently now, I'm very excited to be the managing director here of Pembroke Street and Galway.
Fantastic. And I know you're massively obviously into clothing and style, but I can also see that you're into leadership development, customer excellence, team growth, and everything like that. What do you think are the attributes of a good leader like yourself that have brought you through the ranks to become managing director?
Good question. I think that one of the things that I've learned over my time is it's all about people. The way that we treat our customers, it equals how successful the business is going to be, but equally the way we treat the people that we work with. So I think that I think that's very important. I think as a leader, you have a responsibility to treat people with respect, to bring people along, to allow people to flourish, and to try and really bring the best out in people. It's funny, I hear you talking a lot about energy. I think energy in any business is critical, and I think as a leader, well, certainly for my style is I like to bring energy to the group. You know, to really kind of get things going, to find out what the guys think we should be doing, try new things. But yeah, I think it's all centered around people.
I love that. And in terms of going forward, I mean, obviously there's an amazing legacy in terms of Louis Copeland. How do you see yourself bringing that legacy forward in the changing world that we have today in terms of the changing working environment and everything like that?
Yeah, and I think it's been really interesting to see what's happened in the workplace regarding clothing over the last, say, 5 years. It was stagnant before that in the fact that it didn't change too much. And obviously COVID happened and it was like a shock. It was like atomic bomb went off with regards to business and the way the guys dress. And I suppose from running our business, it's very important then that you spot that trend, that you adapt to it. I think the big word around COVID was pivot, wasn't it? Not a word that I'm too fond of, but I think it's very important to spot these changes. So for us going forward as a company, we need to be current. We need to be, instead of just selling suits, jackets, jeans, overcoats, knitwear, they're all huge categories in our business now. And it's important that we dress our customers not only for suiting, not only for smart casual, but also casual, because a lot of guys are working from at home. So we need to be dressing them for that as well.
And I know you're a bit of an Instagram influencer in terms of style doc, and amazing, I have to say. I was looking at your videos and it's brilliant and built that up fantastically. And if anybody out there is looking to really build a business, have a look at David's Instagram, which is Style Doc, because it could really help you learn how to grow your own Instagram as well in terms of the quality of the content. And one of the things I heard you mention in one of your videos is about, I think it's capsule wardrobes. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think one thing that I see with men when they're shopping is sometimes it can be sporadic. So they're buying a little bit over here, they're buying a shirt here, they're might be buying something online. But I'm a real believer in that if you really think about your wardrobe, if you really think about what your wardrobe needs to do for you, so in your professional environment, if you go into an establishment, it doesn't have to be Louis Copeland, Pembroke Street. It could be another good retailer. And if you sit down with somebody and actually plan your wardrobe correctly, you can save money, you can be better dressed, and you'll find it easier to match the stuff together. So there's key pieces that in a capsule wardrobe that I believe that a man should put in to their wardrobe, and that will allow them to dress for an awful lot of events, to match and mix and match the items correctly. And as I said to you, take away the stress as well. Because with some guys, I think getting dressed the next day, they're like, what do I wear? And what goes with that? But if you buy correctly with a strategy, you can make that very easy.
Yeah, absolutely. You see a lot of I don't know whether it was Steve Jobs, obviously, in the old days, and Mark Zuckerberg, they tend to wear the same thing all the time because they don't take that decision away. But sometimes I think there's a lack of style compared to the old ways that we had. And I do find that when we stand on stage in that state of real presence, in terms of the way you look now, it can really add value a lot to your clients, but also how you feel as well. I'm sure you agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think clothing has a huge introspective way of like, I mean, the way you feel about yourself is very important. And I think being dressed to the best version of yourself is the way to maximize the best version of yourself. I think that you need to own your own style as well. So, like for somebody, not everyone's going to wear a double-breasted blue blazer with a wide lapel, and I wouldn't recommend that people should do that at all. But I think that people should find their own style. They should feel comfortable in their own style. It should fit them well. It should be well curated, as in well put together. And then I think naturally people will feel better about themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. And obviously, we have a changing mentality, I think, a lot with Gen Zs and millennials and everything like that. How does Louis Copeland keep up in terms of obviously the history of the prestige that you have? But how do you keep up with the kind of desire and needs of the new age people that are coming through?
Well, it's funny you brought up Instagram, and I think social media has had a big impact on the way that people dress. I think also travel as well. I think with people, getting flights, let's say, going on holidays to the likes of Italy and seeing the way European men dress, I think that's having a big impact. And certainly I think that young men in Ireland at the moment are a lot more adventurous in the way that they're dressing. They're trying new styles, like new colors are coming into the marketplace. Like typically navy would have always been the main color. But now that we're selling greens, we're selling taupes, we're selling beiges. So it's getting a little bit more vibrant.
Yeah, actually, I've seen on your Instagram, there's so many different colors you wear. It's brilliant, which I absolutely love. And talking of Instagram and talking of influencers, I know you've had a few celebs in here and you've dressed a few celebs, and we talked about one in particular. Do you want to share a little bit of a secret of, maybe one of the celebrities that have been in here and what kind of style you put them in and why they come back here to this amazing store?
Well, I suppose one of the celebrities that I that did a bit of work with was Patrick Dempsey,
Mm.
and I think Patrick has a really great style. He's very into clothing himself, but we were very lucky. We made some suits for Patrick, and he was so impressed with the suits that he actually he came with and he did a photo shoot with us. And he arrived in one Sunday, and he said, "Dave, do you want me to come in on Sunday and we'd take a few shots?" I was like, "Yeah, Patrick, let me just check my calendar now, see if we can fit you in." But we managed to fit him in, and he came in, and we did a full photo shoot with him. But yeah, no, he was a great guy.
Fantastic. You mentioned about requests. Have you ever had any, very strange or unusual requests in terms of clothing with it?
I haven't really. No, no, and I think I think it's getting guys dressed for different events, that kind of thing. If a guy's going on holidays or if a guy's going on a business trip, if someone has an interview, obviously weddings are huge business. So dressing people for their important days is what we do. A strange request, I can't really think of any apart from I dress a few magicians, and let me put it this way: there's a few hidden pockets.
Very good. And you actually put them in, do you?
Yeah, well, without giving too much away. Yes, yeah. There's a few. There's a few requests. Let's say of strategic pockets.
Very good. Yeah, Keith Barry actually. I suppose he's more a hypnotist, but he's one of the testimonies in my book, "Charge Yourself Up for Success," and I'm sure he probably had a few in the past as
Yeah,
well.
I dress Keith.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. He's one of the guys that I dress. Yeah, absolutely. And he's brilliant. And he's a really good dresser. And he has great energy.
No, absolutely, and he would probably, one of the most talented men in Ireland, I have to say. Incredible guy and really nice person as well. So,
So Keith Barry managed to read my mind one day and guessed my bank security code just by looking at me.
yeah, he's done the same. Yeah, it's phenomenal. I don't know how he does what he does, but absolutely phenomenal. And tell us, I mean, the day in the life of the managing director of the Pembroke Street and Galway office. What do you do? How do you help in terms? I'm sure there's a lot of people in terms of either business people or business owners or entrepreneurs or executives watching this show. What are the kind of maybe secrets of your success, the steps that you utilize to help in terms of business development and growth within Louis Copeland?
Well, my number one strategy and the thing that's most important to me is I'm on the floor all the time. I don't have an office, and I'm meeting customers every single day, and I think that's been critical to my success over the years. I love meeting customers every day on the shop floor, but that's really where you get to understand where the business is, where the business needs to go. So I would have said that's been one of my number one things, and certainly every day, for a large portion of the day, apart from when we're buying, I will be on the shop floor, meeting customers and finding out what customers' needs are.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's funny actually. I interviewed a guy who sold an e-learning business, which was all about online learning in terms of digital marketing. And I asked him what were the secrets to his success in growth.
Hmm.
What kind of digital marketing things did you do? And he said, to be honest with you, Doug, it's still old-fashioned. Picking up the phone, eyeballing people, getting to know people, and creating a bond in terms of energy between people. And I think that's so important that people actually really forget that when they're doing business. In terms of business, what would you say are three essentials every man should have in his wardrobe?
Well, I think, you're back to the capsule wardrobe there. I think number one, every man needs one suit, and I would recommend a dark navy suit for that. I think dark wash jeans, similar to what you're wearing there today, are an essential item in every man's wardrobe. A navy blazer. If you're going to get a blazer, a blue based or a navy blazer, you can put it on with a pair of jeans or a pair of trousers, smarten you up. And of course, white shirt, good white shirt. Every man needs a good white shirt in the wardrobe.
I love that. And do you see, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say I'm the most stylish, but do you see any real kind of mistakes that men make that they need to correct?
100%. So I think if you're wearing an outfit, say for instance a guy who is in a really casual tech job, you know, if he's wearing a t-shirt, it should be ironed. It should look kind of pristine. And the other thing I see all the time is guys wearing ill-fitting clothes, clothes that are too tight or too loose. So I think, if you're going to be wearing an outfit, make sure that it's ironed, that it's well kept, and make sure that you get the fit right for you. They're the biggest mistakes I see men making anyway.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but I think like if you see a guy and he's scruffy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, your natural thought about him is that he's lazy.
Mm.
Okay, and some people might disagree, and I'm not saying he needs to be wearing a three-piece suit or a blazer or anything like that, but just that he's taken a little bit of care in himself and the way he presents himself to the outside world.
Yeah, I know that you can't do this now, and times have changed in business, but I remember going right back 15, 20 years ago when I was in the investment management world in London. If you wore what didn't look like a good, suitable tie, I remember there was certain bosses who would come up and cut the tie off,
Are you
tell you to go
serious?
back and buy another one, mention your shoes, mention your suit. Everything was really looked at critical. And I think although times have changed in terms of you couldn't do that now, I still think there is a perception and people do judge. And that's why it's so important to look good like the way you do.
Yeah, and I think it is, but and it's when I'm talking about this subject, it's important to get across that look, ties are a little bit old-fashioned now. Nobody's wearing ties every day to work, or very few people are. But the same principles apply to smart casual and apply to casual wear. Yeah, and I think the ritual of waking up in the morning, getting dressed, going through that whole process is important about the way that you feel about yourself. But I think everyone has a responsibility to be the best version of themselves. And if they are in really casual, even shorts and a t-shirt, as I said earlier on, just make sure that the t-shirt's ironed. It's not too hard,
Mm,
but it's bringing the best version of yourself forward.
I totally agree. I do a lot of coaching in terms of both business but also mental health. And often I will say to people, if they're home and they're feeling a bit down in the dumps, I said, go and put your best clothing on, work in that, go out in that, and feel the energy in that as well. And you might bring your mood up a bit as well, which I think is key. In terms of your own self, I mean, obviously you have to keep the mood and the motivation of the team up here in Pembroke Street and also over in Galway. What are the lessons you've learned in terms of being able to motivate and inspire people as a leader?
Well, I think, in my mind anyway, business is all about people. It's about the people you work with. It's about the people that, your customers. It's about your suppliers as well. It's about having good relationships. So I think minding those three sets of relationships is key. But something I've learned especially over the last maybe 2 years, just from looking at the success, let's say, that I would have had before and the new success that we're having now, the impact that energy has, bringing energy into a group of people, and giving a vision. Let's say, here's where we are today, here's where we're going, getting everyone on board, working together. But it's funny, you can't put energy down on a spreadsheet. You can't capture it in a set of accounts. But my experience is that energy really makes a huge amount of an impact to a business.
Yeah, I totally agree. And over the last 25 years, what would you say are the things that you're most proud of as being a member of this great establishment?
Well, I think we've done a really good job of bringing kind of the brand, um, you know, from where it was, in the fact that it was always considered just a suit brand, to I suppose the full lifestyle brand that it is today. I think that was a good achievement. I think the way we reacted to COVID as well. I think that was a very good achievement, and I'm very proud now of my new journey. I've been doing this. I've been on this new journey now since November, and as managing director of Pembroke Street in Galway. And with my new team, we've really achieved great results in such a short space of time. So yeah, I'm proud of that as well.
I love that. You mentioned Patrick Dempsey earlier on. If there was any celebrity in the world you'd like to raid their wardrobe and help and style them, who would it be and why?
I don't know the answer to that, if I was to be quite honest with you. I'm pretty happy with my own wardrobe as it goes. But yeah, like I mean, I think Patrick has a great wardrobe. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Yeah, I'd have to have a think about that one, Doug.
And you mentioned your own wardrobe there. Is all your clothing from Louis Copeland?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, I might have one or two bits that aren't, but because I do all the buying, I have a great relationship with suppliers, that kind of thing, and it's easy for me to get clothing. Let's put it that way, and I love clothing, as I said earlier on, and yeah, I've got quite an extensive wardrobe, let's say.
I can see. As I said earlier on, you've got to check out his Instagram, Style Doc. It's absolutely brilliant. So many tips and tricks, and some great content on there as well. If you're a little bit younger than me, but similar age, and if you were to go back to your 19-year-old self and give that young man some advice with all the experience that you've now had working here and the people you've met, what would that advice be?
Again, another great question there, Doug. What would that? Well, I think the advice that I give to any young person is to work hard. That I think if you really put your mind to something, and if you really put your effort, I really believe in immersing yourself in your job, that that it becomes part of you, that you're really kind of motivated, let's say, and I think that you get great enjoyment out of that. So I would say to myself, to do that, and I would say to myself that yeah, dealing with customers and giving great customer service is what it's all about.
And what would you say inspires you most about the business and most about style, past or present?
Give us that one again, Doug.
What would you say that inspires you most about the business that you work in terms of the business itself or the style that you put out there, either in the past or the present?
What inspires me the most? Certainly with regards to buying my trips to Italy. So
Mm.
watching the way that Italian men dress. I think that, I love just sitting in Milan, having a cup of coffee and just watching the way that guys are dressing, and the way that they kind of put so much effort into their wardrobes. And funny enough, I notice as well, it starts from a very young age. If you see a 16-year-old young man in Italy, quite often he'd be wearing a blazer, a pair of chinos, that kind of thing. So certainly from a fashion perspective, the Italian style has been a huge influence on me. With regards to business, then, do you mean who's inspired me, or do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, people that have inspired me over the years. Obviously Louis Senior. I've been, working with him from such a young age, and his mindset, let's say, and the view that he had on that helped me form my views in and around business. And then recently, I've been really working very closely with a good friend of mine, Paul Toner. He is a retired partner from KPMG. He was head of consulting there, and he's been very inspiring to me and really helping me to try and kind of bring myself to the next level.
I love that. I always say model the masters, and we can always learn something from somebody else as well. And obviously, we met, and you very kindly offered a collaboration, which is fantastic. And we will be in here on the 29th of May doing a VIP executive workshop, which I'll be speaking at. And obviously, we got some amazing people coming actually as well, which is great. What are you looking to get out of that in terms of what can we offer the clients when they come along?
But I think one of the things that I'm very focused on at the moment is experience. So obviously everyone comes in to purchase clothes in the store, but we're trying to give our clients that extra experience, and that might be events, that might be trips. But in this occasion, I think your expertise, Doug, and the view that you have on business, because most of our clients are in business. And I think that, for you coming in, speaking to our clients, giving them the insights that you have, obviously from your best selling book, I think that's going to be great.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about, I was 21 years in the investment world, working my way up from, like yourself actually, customer service, all the way up to board director and head of sales and marketing. And I'll also be utilizing, I've interviewed over 300 different people on my radio show, amazing people like you, David. And they've included New York Times bestsellers, film stars, sports stars, and everything like that. And I'll be sharing the insights that I've learned from there to add value to the people as well. So we'll have some good discussion afterwards, and it should be a really good evening. So I'm looking forward to it. And thank you so much for hosting the event and for offering the partnership as well, because it's, as I said at the start, it's amazing to see that energy come around, because my dad lost his dad when he was 2 and he lost his mum when he was 6. So when I told him about the partnership, it really touched his heart, and then in turn touched mine as well. So I have to say, I'm really, really grateful, David, and thank you so much.
Super, really looking forward to it, Doug.
Final question, which I like to ask everybody. If there was no kind of news articles or anything about you whatsoever, and I put you on a stage in front of 10,000 people, and we beamed it out on my podcast to 10 billion people around the planet, or 8 billion now, but it might be 10 billion then, and you're like 90 years of age, what message would you leave for the world before you passed away?
What message will I leave to the world? Obviously, my message would be centered around the way you dress. And I think it's back to being the best version of yourself. So that way. And I think that, in every walk of life, in your relationships, in the way you treat people, in having fun, if you can be the best version of yourself, I think that's the most important thing. And I think guys should be well dressed when they're doing it.
Yeah, I agree. As I said at the start, and I'll say at the end, when you put yourself in the energy of something, you bring more of it to you as well. I was just telling David before this, I interviewed last week Angus Hegarty, the ex-president of Dell. And after maybe, I would say, an hour or two afterwards, another ex-Dell member who knew Angus contacted me to go to a comedy show. And when we arrived there, we met another Dell person who also knew Angus as well. So put yourself in the energy of wealth, put yourself in the energy of abundance, put yourself in the energy of these luxury brands, and watch more of it come to you as well. David, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on. I wish you every success going forward.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to David O'Connor on Inspirational People, Inspirational Stories. I'll be back next week with another inspirational guest. In the meantime, if you need to get in touch, please contact me at doug@dougdgordon.com. From all of us here in the team of the show, I wish you a truly inspirational week and look forward to speaking to you next time. Bye for now.